Future of DAS. Multiple infrastructure and applications will converge on a single platform. That's one of the main things of future of DAS. For example, it's quite common to see all of these services such as LAN, audio video, fire protection, access control, security cameras, etc. And of course, cellular DAS on their separate layers or systems. We'll very soon see more converged platforms. As a matter of fact, converged platforms means these are going to be all on one platform or system. As a matter of fact, there is already a platform from Corning that can support all of these services on one single network or system. Future of DAS will be all fiber DAS. Fiber optics have a higher capacity and the data it can transport which far exceeds that of a copper cable with similar thickness. Fiber cable capacity rated at 10 gigabit per second, 40 gigabit per second, and even 100 gigabit per second. So capacity is not going to be a problem with fiber. The distance fiber has to cover for a typical DAS is actually quite short compared to how far it can go in a fiber cable without much loss. So minimal signal loss. On the other hand, remember for a half-inch coaxial cable, signal loses approximately 50% of its strength every 100 feet for a PCS frequency. Fiber is also less susceptible to interference. For coax in DAS 2.0, you will have to do sweep and PIM. These tests are cost and time intensive. For modern day fiber, optical loss tests will suffice, which is easy to do. We only do OTDR because that's what carrier or operators want. Coax, once deployed, is hard to reuse for several reasons. You may have to re-sweep and re-PIM to make sure it's in good shape. Since coax are lossy, engineers want to minimize the length of coax and it will be hard to find much slack left in coax run. On the other hand, even if you leave 100 feet of fiber in a loop to use in future, there will be minimal additional loss, so it provides more flexibility for future use. Pretty much all low voltage vendors can install fiber. When it comes to coax, we often run into low voltage vendors who need training on the connectorization, sweep and PIM tests, etc. In the next few years, you will see DAS using all fiber for transport and minimal to no coax or copper. And that's why I'm considering DAS platforms with all fiber transport as DAS 3.0. With most of the current DAS setup, signal source is the last digital device. DAS is basically analog. The concept of digital DAS is to perform digital to analog and analog to digital conversions at remote nodes rather than the BTS. Each incoming signal is filtered into discrete digital data flow with no possibility of interference between signals for each operator. However, if an analog interference is shared at the head end, which is common for DAS 2.0, then there is still a risk of interference between operator signals. Reduced interference results in efficiency and better performance. Another thing we may see is CPRI, which stands for Common Public Radio Interface. With CPRI, base station or signal source will directly interface with DAS equipment, resulting in fewer electronics because we'll get rid of remote radio heads, which are usually part of BTS signal source. We'll also get rid of DAS trays, and need for cabling will be reduced, which results in simplified installation. We'll have less errors and fewer points of failure, which will produce improved performance. By cutting out electronics, you can save space in MDF closets, which is basically premium real estate. This lowers the overall cost. So what's the problem with CPRI? Why all DAS gears don't support CPRI? The name CPRI can be misleading because the word common implies an open source like platform, but every manufacturer has their own proprietary version of CPRI protocol. Companies such as Nokia Siemens, Alcatel Lucent, Ericsson, and Huawei have developed their own CPRI standards. This is the reason Digital DAS has difficulty in making inroads into the US wireless market. DAS vendors cannot build a system that interfaces with every base station in the market, and that defeats the very purpose of multi-carrier DAS concept. Globally, few OEMs or manufacturers have ventured into all-fiber DAS. Corning One wireless platform is the first all-fiber converged cellular Wi-Fi and other IP services that I have worked with. Corning One is quite popular in the US. Maven Wireless announced the arrival of world's first end-to-end digital Tetra DAS at Critical Communications MENA 2017 conference in Dubai. Dali manufactures all-fiber, all-digital DAS. According to their website, Dali's fully digital wireless signal routing solution revolutionizes in-building and outdoor coverage and capacity by eliminating interference and maximizing spectrum usage. Upcoming OEMs in DAS 3.0 space are CommScope, who has ION-E platform, which utilizes Cat5 as transport media and in the process of making ION-E into all-fiber, all-digital CPRI compatible DAS. At the time of developing this course, this has not been released in the US but will be at any day. And last but not least, Solid will also release their all-fiber DAS in the US very soon.